Hey y'all, how y'all doing out there today? Yeah, this is Shyheda Isofine back again with another video. I just hope everybody's staying safe out there and staying out the way. As I've been looking at YouTube, and I look at a lot of YouTubers, y'all, but it seems like all of a sudden I'm running across quite a few of them that have contacted this corona. So this COVID-19, whatever, I don't know the right word we're supposed to say on YouTube, but you know what I'm talking about. So, yes, it's just more and more people out there that are contacting us. It's no joke. It don't matter that we want to do this and we want to go here and we want to go there. Think about your health first. All these places will be there when we're gone. So sometimes you gotta put it in reverse. You gotta change your way of entertainment. Because things are happening in this world that a lot of us have never seen before. So we gotta step back. We gotta see what's going on, y'all. So, right now, I want to talk some more about domestic violence. Because that's another thing that has really, really, really went on the uprise. We just had an incident, here in the city I live in a couple days ago, where an 11-month-old child was struck in the head by a bullet because they said that the gun fell off of the table and hit the child in the head. So, I don't know. They're still investigating it, so I'm just saying. Because that's a domestic violence. By having that gun in there, you know, that's an easy reach of a child and it's still loaded and it fell off the table and hit the child in the head. But it's still under investigation. So I don't want to say too much about that, but I just wanted to show you how easily these things happen. I was looking at another YouTuber last night. Well, it was actually Meech. What is it? Meech and Monica. Monica and Meech. And Monica was talking about an incident where I think she was in the store or coming out the store or whatever, but she seen this man verbally abusing this woman. She said she don't know why he did it or what was going on, but he was calling all types of names, calling her all types of names in front of people and, just verbally abusing her. And then she was, thanking God that she has a good husband and that, she's never had to encounter situations like that. And I know there are many women out there that are not being put in this situation. And that's probably why, some do not understand the seriousness of it. So that's why I'm here to tell you how serious this is. And while I'm talking about domestic violence, you may hear me repeating some of the things I've already said. But sometimes that's what it takes for things to register. Sometimes you have to hear it over and over and over again. When I first started doing YouTube, I have some back videos out there that I also spoke on domestic abuse. So let me get into this before my camera cuts off. So right now I'm going to talk about the top, or one of the top warning signs of domestic violence. So physical abuse is a big sign. If you see black eyes, bruises on the arms, busted lips, red or purple marks on your neck or someone's neck, or a sprained wrist. All of these are red flags. If you see your sister, your mom, a good friend, any woman, she's coming to work, she got these black eyes, you know, she might have said she walked into the wall. Someone poked her in the eye accidentally. See, the victims usually have a weak or inconsistent explanation for these injuries. They always try to make up an excuse of why they have these bruises, why their arm or their leg was sprained, why they have busted lips, why they can't come to work today. Because last night, he abused me, but I'm not going to tell that to my employee. I'm just going to say, I'm sick, I can't come in, because I'm so embarrassed. I don't want anyone to see my black eyes. I don't want anyone to see the marks and discoloration on my skin. So it's common for the victim to try to cover up the physical signs with clothing. For example, you may notice that someone you care about is wearing long sleeves on a hot day, and you're wondering why. She's wearing those long sleeves and it's 100 degrees. Or they may keep their heads covered up with scarves. They're wearing heavier than normal, wearing more than normal makeup, or wearing sunglasses inside. And these are also common signs of domestic abuse. They're wearing the sunglasses to hide the bruises and all. So, there's also 9 types of violence and abuse. And they are physical violence, sexual violence, emotional violence, psychological violence, spiritual violence, cultural violence. There's also the verbal abuse, and there's the neglect. Now, the physical violence occurs when someone uses a part of their body or an object to control a person's actions, such as if you're trying to flee the home because of the abuse, they stand in the doorway to prevent you from leaving. They use their body to push you back so you can't get out. There's the emotional violence. Now, the emotional violence occurs when someone says or does something to make a person feel stupid or worthless. There's sexual violence. Sexual violence occurs when a person is forced to unwillingly take part in sexual activity. The psychological violence occurs when someone uses threats and causes fear in an individual to gain control. There's also the spiritual violence or religious violence, which occurs when someone uses an individual's spiritual beliefs to manipulate, dominate, or control that person. Such as you might tell your wife that a wife is supposed to obey her husband. A wife's place is in the kitchen. God, we were married, and God does not, we were married under God's law. We cannot get a divorce. I'll never let you leave me. Another one is the cultural violence. And that occurs when an individual is harmed as a result of practices that are part of her or his cultural, religion, or their tradition. The verbal abuse occurs when someone uses language, whether spoken or written, to cause harm to an individual. They may keep sending you texts or keep annoying you on the phone, verbally abusing you the whole time, and using language that is not desirable to you, just calling you all kind of names and just putting you down. Then we have the financial abuse, and that occurs when someone controls an individual's financial resources without the consent or the consent of the person. Then we got the neglect, and that occurs when someone has a responsibility to provide care or assistance for an individual, but it doesn't happen. So I got two questions that comes up sometimes when it pertains to domestic violence. So one of them is, what is the most common violence? And that would be domestic violence. It is one of the most common forms of violence experienced for women globally, all over the world. This takes place all over the world. Domestic abuse, sometimes called domestic violence because it gets to that. They don't care about your age, how you look, your education, your finances, where you live. It doesn't make a difference. And it can happen to anyone. It also encompasses physical, sexual, emotional, economic, and psychological actions or threats of action that influences another person. So another question is, what is a domestic violence cycle? Now, there are 3 phases in the cycle of violence. One is the tension building phase, Number 2 is the acute or crisis phase. And number 3 is the calm or the honeymoon phase. But without intervention, the frequency and severity of the abuse tends to increase over time. So unless that person gets help for his or her actions, it would just continue on and it would just escalate. So now I want to read some of recognizing the signs of domestic abuse. So, do you see this happening to you or anyone else out there, such as a family member or friend? Does your partner embarrass or make fun of you in front of your friends or your family? Does your partner put down your accomplishments? Does your partner make you feel like you are unable to make decisions? Does your partner use intimidation or threats to gain compliance? Does your partner tell you that you are nothing without them? Does your partner treat you roughly, grab you, push you, pinch you, shove or hit you? Think about all these things, y'all. Does your partner call you several times a night or show up to make sure that you are where you said you would be? Does your partner use drugs or alcohol as an excuse for saying hurtful things or bruising things to you? Sometimes they use excuses because they drink too much or because they take drugs. None of that is the cause of domestic abuse or domestic violence. It only escalates escalates it, but it's a lot of people that don't drink or take drugs, and they don't abuse their partners or their family members. So there's no excuse because no one deserves to be hit. So does your partner blame you for how they feel or act? You know, and it's a famous thing that they say. You push my buttons. You made me do it. If you would only do as I say, or if you would only act like a wife, I wouldn't have to hit you. They even say sometimes she likes it. She wants to be hit. So they even go that far to blame you for their actions. You know? So does your partner make you feel that there is no way out of the relationship? Does your partner pressure you sexually for things you aren't ready for? And sometimes they go as far as saying, well, if you don't do it, I'll get somebody that will. Well, then good, let them. You know, let them. And then you go on with your life. And another good one is, does your partner make you feel that there's no way out of the relationship? Because they fill your head with so many threats and tell you that, especially if you aren't working and you have to depend on that person to take care of you and the house and the children financially. So they'll throw that in your face. Or they'll make you feel so worthless that you'll start believing that you can't make it without them. Does your partner prevent you from doing things that you want to do, like spending time with friends or family? And that's another big one. They always try to keep you away from your friends and your family because they don't want them to see what they're doing to you.